Did you go out and get your 30 gallons of milk? Well, we have a Noreaster coming, and I looked on my iPhone for snow accumulations possible for Sunday and Monday, and it's anywhere from 2 inches to 7 feet. So you don't know what to believe. Every day it's been changing. Now it says, I think, 3 to 5 inches Sunday, 9 to 11 Monday. I don't know if they mean going into Monday. 2 of the 11 will be Sunday. I don't know. All I know is I bought my half and half. I don't drink milk. How are you, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Frantic Friday, yeah. People freak out. People freak out when it's close to March and the snow because it's kind of like the week before finals in high school where you prepare and you get no sleep and you're irritable and you're a miserable wreck. Well, first of all, you're a teenager, so at 16 or 17, that's your MO until you get out of the house. But you just go crazy. Well, this is it too, because we are past Christmas, we're past New Year's. We are not able to facilitate this. Hey, Mike, you're right. You're right, Mike. My car was buried. Thanks, Dave. My car was buried up to the roof. I was wrong, though, Mike. I parked on the boulevard because I couldn't get. I have 3 cars. One's my son's, another I have, and then the car I use all the time. And I had it in the backyard. I wasn't going to start moving them around and jockeying, and it ended up costing me $350 to get it out. So this time, oh, I can imagine, Mike. I can imagine. There's still snow all over the place, and if we get 10 inches, except for some people screaming "I Poppy," it's not going to be a good sight. But this time, I will try to park my car on the left side so they don't bury me in. It was miserable. And I like to have my car available, even if I'm not going anywhere. I just like the idea of having my car available. So it was driving me crazy. But yeah, I wasn't in Manhattan, honestly, but I heard it was terrible. My son goes in and out, and he said that it was bad. So I hope you're healthy and safe, Mike, and don't get too crazy with it. But get your milk. So I swear, sometimes I think that stores call AccuWeather. Yeah, listen, we ordered too much. Yeah, no, say it's going to snow. We'll unload this weekend. It's incredible. People that don't drink milk buy milk, right? But yeah, look, we're probably going to get something. But look, Mamdani, the only thing he said that made a little sense was that he said, generally speaking, it kind of melts a few days afterwards. And we stayed cold for 3 weeks, like 20 degrees, 15 degrees. So I understand that. But don't you have to be prepared for that? Right? That's like not building a dam. It never floods. Don't worry about it until it floods. Yeah. New York just is a nightmare to begin with. But no one ever, well, I'd like to say no one ever leaves, but people do leave. People leave now because you can't afford it. Well, you know what's going to happen, Dave? He's saying 10% on homeowners and landlords. She's going to come in the 11th hour. Oh, I got it down to 5%. I'm a hero. That's what's going to happen. It'll end up being a 5% hike. But they don't realize that that is passed on to the renters. What do they think? They just say, give the renters a break. No one can afford anything. No, it's just, it's terrible. Let's see what happens. It's only been a couple of months. But I hope you're all doing well. I hope you have plans for the weekend. I was actually going to go to Parks, the casino tonight, and I decided not to. I've been in a lot of pain. My shoulder, being serious, hurts more now than it did 2 weeks ago. Maybe I'm using it more now. Doctor said it's inflamed, the joint and all that. So, not even the painkillers help. Well, no, let me backtrack. They probably help a little, but I'm not pain free. It's more of an annoying pain, like a toothache in your shoulder. It's annoying. But anyway, I hope you're all doing well. Yeah, raising taxes and yeah. Mike, I don't understand how anybody voted for him. I don't get it. It's because they wanted to believe. You want to believe in a Santa Claus. You want to believe that, all the young people came out of college. They want to live the fabulous life. The girls come out. They want to be the girls from Sex and the City, fabulous apartment, going Broadway, going here, going there. They can't. They can't. First of all, the city's always been expensive. I don't know many college kids in the last 20 years that could have just graduated college and went off and got an apartment on Fifth Avenue. It's not happening. Maybe now you can't get an apartment anywhere. I haven't been looking, but listen, I know it's hard, but communism doesn't work. And every 20 years or so, it rears its ugly head because people get sick of what they deem fascist, which isn't really. Socialism means a production stall. There's no initiative. Why should you work hard? Why should the doctor who makes $130,000 a year work hard when the sanitation worker with overtime makes 110? Yeah. Yeah, the second day he asked for money. They're stupid. Because if you promise people free stuff, they'll bite. If you promise people that are suffering free stuff, they'll maul you. And he came at the right time. Look, could a socialist have ever gotten any traction 10 years ago? He would have been laughed right off the stage. Yeah, Mitch. Hey, how are you? No, listen. And I wasn't going to go into politics, but I answered the question. Yeah, it's not good, and I don't know how it's going to be. I just hope that things work out. It's all I can hope for. But anyway, Frantic Friday. I have a dilemma with a friend of mine who annoyed me, and I don't know if I should call them out on it or not. I'll see how I feel because it's not going to be a good situation if I do. I'm only going to annoy myself. And then if they come back at me, it's not going to be a good situation for them. So maybe I'll just enjoy the snow forecast this weekend. So, yes, I was going to go to Parks, and the weather's fine. I just, the shoulder's bothering me. Yeah, I figured the hell with it. Watched a few movies, though. Watched a couple of good movies. My friend Al gave me a good movie to watch. It was really, really good. With Ashton Kutcher, who's actually a pretty good actor. And I watched Back to the Future for the 3,000th time. I think I'm ready for a Godfather weekend. Yeah, 1, 2, and 3. Think so. It's going to be crappy out. Well, they'll raise it 5%. She'll step in and say, I saved you. That's what she'll do. Hochul. Yeah, Mike, I've gone to Sands, sure. I've gone to Sands, and I've also gone to Mount Airy. Went out to Mount Airy a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2-3 weeks ago. And yeah, it was nice. I like Mount Airy. I went to Mount Airy in the '80s. Now there's a beautiful golf course across the street and all that. I don't really remember too much from the '80s. Don't remember all that much from the '80s. You know what I mean? Um, but the Mount Airy Lodge was nice. Oh, Hokel's Hokel. You know, they're just incredible. They're incredible. Anytime you're in a city that likes to boast being a sanctuary city, this is what you're going to have. I'm not saying you should be knocking on people's doors 3 o'clock in the morning, grabbing them out, but you have to do something. Was it Mitch? Yeah, I don't know how she ever won. And Zetterman actually had a good showing for a Republican. He closed the gap. Generally speaking, at 9 o'clock, the polls close at 9:01. They could declare a winner here. You know what it's going to be. The voting base, they're all getting checks at the end of the month. And the other part of the base, the socialists. So, but yeah, I don't want to depress you with politics. I don't feel like talking about it anyway. But I hope you all have weekend plans. I hope you are not going to let Sliwa, yeah. The thing with, I've been dying to go to a movie. I like the movie experience because inevitably you're laying down, you put it on pause, you go to the bathroom. It's not the same thing as running to the bathroom like Jesse Owens trying to get back because you don't want to miss something in the movie theater. You ever do that? Like you're kind of looking for the lull in the movie where you can say, I'll be right back. And you sprint to the men's room. Yeah, Mike, he did a lot. It ends up he wasn't so delusional, was he? Look, there's cheating all around. Anywhere you have money and power, it is cheating. It doesn't matter what side you're on. Some are better at doing it. Like the Democrats are very good at elections. They are very good at elections. They always have been. Yeah, I saw the coming attractions. I'm not sure what it's about. I know they both got older. I remember in the '90s when they both wrote that movie Good Will Hunting, right? They won the Oscar for that, didn't they? God knows that's all they were winning an Oscar for. Well, you know what, though? Ben Affleck's not a bad actor. Matt Damon's okay, but Affleck's not bad. The problem with these guys, they get pigeonholed, and now I give Adam Sandler a lot of credit. Adam Sandler's last couple of movies, Uncut Gems, and then the one with George Clooney on Netflix, he plays a serious role. He always has a couple of funny lines in the role because it's just Adam Sandler. You want to take advantage of his timing. But you just look at these movies and it costs you a fortune to go to a movie. If you go to a movie with someone, it's going to cost you $80 if you want popcorn. It's like $23 or $24 each, so that's 50. Popcorn, 12, 14. Uncut Gems was great. I was really shocked how good Sandler was in that. That was excellent. And then the new one with George Clooney, I think it was made for Netflix. Well, he plays an agent, and he was excellent, excellent in it. He's not the star, Clooney is, but he's got a lot going on. I like Sandler. I really do like Sandler. And I think he got to the point where he realized that the rom-coms for me are over. And either I take another direction or I'm going to be the rerun king. and he's a talented guy, and he was excellent. Yeah, he was brilliant in Uncut Gems, Mike. He really was. He was so good in that. And his brother-in-law was the ex-captain in Law and Order about 20 years ago. He's actually an okay actor too. But a great story. And I felt that rush with gambling. I have. It's incredible. Anybody who's gambled, I haven't gambled that way. Well, but yeah, there's a rush, and you actually felt like you were rooting for the game with him, and you knew how it was going to turn out. But he was brilliant in it. Now the movies are, you know, in our generation, a lot of the rom-com heroes are gone. Jennifer Aniston's 50 now. How many rom-coms? Hugh Grant was great in the late 90s, early 2000s, right? He was the guy. Adam Sandler took over for him. They tried Seth Rogen. He worked for a minute. Julia Roberts was the queen for many years. But, it's hard to write a script for people in their 50s. Chicky, how are you, man? It's very hard. Very hard. You're limited. You're really limited. And people, you know, they have to do something. They really have to do something because they have to make money. And these people worked all their lives and they're not willing to just like give it up now. But I will tell you that Adam Sandler, yeah, I'm good, Chicky. I hope you're well. Adam Sandler, outstanding. A lot better than I ever could have imagined. But now, here's the key. That script, I thought the idea was a good idea. That was a good idea, that script. Because you could get gamblers, Jewish, right? Where you see someone who's a straight arrow and even tried to screw his father-in-law out of money, right? How kids get affected, how he had a gumad. And there was a good part of that movie when Adam Sandler really had it and wanted to work things out with his wife. Remember that part? And she laughs at him. And you almost think for a minute he really wants it. But then again, he's a con man. We know that. But you almost feel bad for him because at that point you knew he lost everything. And even if he won that game, what did he win? Right? You lost your family. You lost your reputation. Hard for me to believe that he'd be able to maneuver like that, being that he was on 47th Street for so long, because way before then, he would have been caught in a jackpot where no one would have ever helped him. He was supposed to be in his 40s. He's probably been there forever. There's no way this was the first time that people would have just stayed away from him. Oh, it's Mike. Yeah, there's a total difference now. I have a couple of friends that are actresses and actors, and one pretty well known. She doesn't do much anymore, but yeah, she told me that the studios now have a checklist. You need a certain amount. I'll give you a perfect example. I just got into watching. Oh yeah, 47th Street. Yeah, The Rookie. The guy from Castle is one of the leads. And the African American sergeant or captain is from Judging Amy. He was a friend. and he every couple is multiracial. The police officer, you find out at the end of season one, is gay. Uh, everyone is interracial. I mean, there's not one couple that is same uh, based. And I got curious about it, and I read where they did it on purpose because LA is a sanctuary city. This is what they have the nerve to put on Google. They did it on purpose because they wanted to show what's going on in LA. Well, if they wanted to show what's going on in LA, I can't imagine it's a good commercial for come move to LA. But good show though. What's it, David Altier? I forget his name, but he's a good actor. Well, I know for a fact what happened with Richard Gere, Mike. Uh, my friend Elizabeth told me that Richard Gere was very close to the Dalai Lama. When the Dalai Lama was exited from China, China said to Hollywood, we will not fund anything that Richard Gere is involved with. And China funds probably 70%. And Richard Gere, did you ever notice Richard Gere in the last 10, 12 years hasn't been in a big movie? Blackballed. I'll give you someone who's blackballed as well. James Woods. James Woods is blackballed as well. For political beliefs, which is terrible, right? Isn't that terrible? So where's the free speech? Yes, in 1990. Yeah. But yeah, people get blackballed because China, first of all, if we have to worry about making a movie because China's funding it, you think maybe we have too much to do with China? I'm just saying. And funding a movie is very expensive. You know, funding a movie, even if it's a passion project, it's going to cost you $10 million minimum for low, $10 million for low. That's if you don't take salaries. You know, passion project. Looking for Richard. Al Pacino had a passion project for years. But you can't fund a $60 million movie. And you probably won't get the advertising. It'll be blackballed. So even if you make it, some producers and directors aren't going to want to get involved because then they won't be able to get their movie funded. So it's rough. Hey, Rock. Yeah, that's a lot of snow, man. I'm going to make sure I park my car in the right spot. James Woods is a brilliant actor. He was in a great movie called The Boost, 1988. Go check it out. Great movie. He was in Shark about 15 or 20 years ago, a series about a shark attorney who ends up working for the DA's office after being a shark for many years. Great series. Much like Damages with Glenn Close. Glenn Close was in that with Rose Byrne. Rose Byrne is one of the nicest people I've ever met. When I was on the set of Boardwalk Empire, Bobby Cannavale is Rose Byrne's husband. And she used to come on the set. She's a sweetheart and beautiful, beautiful girl. Yeah, you have to. Netflix has all the money in the world now. Yeah, Disney is very woke. ABC is owned by Disney. That's why The Rookie, which airs on ABC, that's why it's woke. It's owned by Disney. Look, don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong if you are really adhering to woke. The problem is no one knows what it means. It's like when they were running a few years ago, defunding the police. People thought when you said defund the police, oh, there's going to be no more police officers. They didn't mean that. They meant we're going to take away some funding and put it into other things. When you hear defund the police, what do you think? Oh my God, there's not going to be any more police officers. They sent the message wrong. The Democrats should have said, we're not abolishing the police, but everyone just thought they were. Woke is alert to injustice and discrimination in society, especially racism. I think that's wonderful. I don't know anybody. Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I don't know anyone who the actual narrative that four-letter word stands for would not be all for it. I don't like racism. I don't. I think there's reverse racism, but that's never talked about because you can't. Somebody tell King Leo Disney. Look, the basketball is woke. I'll tell you why. Because Disney owns Nike. Nike wants to sell all their LeBron sneakers and all that. Who has the biggest population? China. You need the Chinese market or you will go broke. Most of the sneakers are sold in China. The NBA has to kiss ass. Now, look, if I'm a business guy and I own Disney, I'm probably doing the same thing. See, I'm honest on here. If I was coming out of college now and I could vote for A or the guy that wants to get rid of student loan and let me shop for free, who do you think I'm voting for? I admit it. Does he? Well, then you know he's going to be woke. Yeah, it's listen, this is the problem. America has always been slow to the draw with change. Snail's pace, America moves. It's not right, right? But when I look at all the protests and I look at BLM and $1 billion worth of damage on Fifth Avenue, and then I look at women. You know what a woman got in 1956 as a Valentine's Day gift? A vacuum cleaner. Women now, you had a vice president. Whether she was qualified or not, it's not the idea. And that's why I laugh when Kamala Harris and all her people said, we weren't ready for a female president. Hillary Clinton got 1 million more votes, the popular vote, than Donald Trump. So, no, maybe we just weren't ready for an idiot. But you know what? It's craziness because everything is diluted. I'll tell you why it's diluted. If you're fighting for justice, you can't tell me I want equal pay, I want equal housing, I want this, that, and the other thing, and I want you to change the name of Mr. Potato Head. It's like you've lost me with that argument because now I know you're just throwing things at the wall. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. Women now are scholars. They didn't break into Apple stores. They didn't set police cars on fire. How did they overcome it? Right? Why don't they use that model instead of destruction? Think about it. Well, I will tell you this, Mike, and I don't know if this will ever come out. Hillary will be outed. Hillary was probably with a lot of women on that island, and she'll get outed. Now, look, again, I have a niece. that married a woman and they adopted an African American baby. How more woke could I be? And I love them. I'm fair. I lost a sponsor, $50 a show, who was a Republican because I said, "Oh, please, the Republicans are all pro-life too until the Gumad gets pregnant. See if he's pro-life when he's going to lose his family." I'm fair. You know that on here. Some of you come in here because you know I don't bullshit. Um, I don't know, Mike. I don't know enough about it to make a statement. I would definitely think, well, this is the reason why the Biden administration didn't come out with it. You know now. They didn't want to put Clinton's on the stand. And if he doesn't perjure himself, a lot's going to come out. Now, look, I don't think Donald Trump is the greatest guy in the world at all. He's probably a pig. But going in blind, who has more of a chance of being inappropriate? Donald Trump or a guy who got a BJ from a 22-year-old in the White House? I kind of think you may hate Trump, but kind of it slides toward Bill being inappropriate. And then Bill has a picture with a dress on there. Mike, I will tell you this much. I can't say who it is. I have a friend who worked for the Secret Service for years. Um, that was very well known. That's why she didn't divorce him. He knows what she's about. She knows it was a power grab. She wanted to eventually be the first woman in office. And they both dealt with each other. I'm not saying they don't care about each other. Look, they know each other for 50, 60 years. I will tell you this much. Hillary is very intelligent, and so is Bill. Bill is probably the most intelligent man we've had in the office in a very long time. And she was no fool either. Very bright. I'll tell you who really screwed himself. The late Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson could have been Obama. He was 30 years too early, and he had a bunch of scandals around him. But he was very well thought of. And it wasn't the right time. If Jesse Jackson was here the last 25 years, I think it would have been different for him. I do. Yeah, Mitch, but that doesn't mean he did anything wrong. That doesn't mean he did anything wrong. Pictures are pictures. It's just that what I really believe is that there are so many names on that list. And pretty much, I'll tell you this much. I went to a bachelor party a long time ago, about 35 years ago, 36 years ago. They took a suite at the Marriott Marquis, which is a fairly new hotel at that point. They had prostitutes come in, do shows, girl with girl. I walked through one of the bedrooms because I got a little sick. I saw a guy with two girls in bed that if you gave me 1,000 names of who would be the last 10 of the 1,000 to do something like that, he would have been it. Does it make him a bad guy? Well, morally, if he, that's between him and his wife. Well, I think he was married at the time, but there's an arrogance with being the president. I knew someone that told me that they were in a room and Bill Clinton, within 5 minutes, can convince you he's not even standing in front of you. Bill was a good talker. He was a charming guy. And to be honest with you, I don't 100% remember, but I think I voted for Bill. I think I did. I liked Bill because he was a regular guy. Boy, was he a regular guy. But anywhere when you have that type of power, I saw that, Rock. Yeah, he told the DOJ. The problem is there are other people on that. You probably have judges. Most of Hollywood is in there. Because it's like you could be a regularly grounded human being. And when you see Michael Jordan there, you may not even like basketball. Can I get a picture with him? You don't even like it. There's something about power, and it worked both ways. Epstein had an island that was Disney World for adults, and he loved hanging out and hobnobbing with powerful people. So it was a quid pro quo. Epstein gave you the relative safety of being not in America. No one thought it would all come out. Look how for many years this was quiet, right? And you had a playground, and he got your cell phone number. Happens every day. Just not when we're reading about it every day. But look, I always use this as a template. I had a really dear friend in the 90s, Rich. He was about 46. He was about 10 years older than me. I saw him, or at least I thought it was him, about 100 feet ahead of me in a Kia parking lot. I ran to jump on him, joking around. The guy almost killed me. It wasn't him. I would have swore everything I owned that it was him from the back, from the jacket to everything. That's why, unless I was there, I can't tell you. Knowing Donald's personality probably did something inappropriate. Knowing the history of Bill Clinton, where he did something inappropriate in front of us, yeah, he probably did. Does it make sense that him and Donald would be friends? Yeah, I think so. I do. I do. I just think that I think it's real rough. It is real rough. It's uh, it's something that unless you were there, and this, if it really goes the way it looks like it's going to go, it's going to be a shit show. Ah, and at this point, if one person, they could be lying through their teeth, says Donald Trump did something wrong, the media will be all over it. All over it. They hate him. He doesn't help himself. He talks like an idiot. I know, Mike. Yeah, the Epstein saga. This is unbelievable. He went to my school. He graduated, I think, 7 or 8 years before me. He went to Lafayette. I think he graduated in 72, maybe, or 71. Listen, he He was what he was. You know, there's 2 minutes of footage missing from his jail cell with security, and they're worried about Trump building something on the White House. Don't you think that should be the focal point of the news? Where's that missing footage of protecting him? It's just terrible. But you know what? It is what it is. We will see. There are so many names. Can you imagine all those years, how many people went to that island? And how do you differentiate who did what? How do you differentiate it? How do you stop a 35-year-old girl now when a Dem goes over, we'll give you $2 million to say that Trump slept with you? How do you prove that? How do you prove that's right or wrong? Whether it happened or not, how do you prove it? You're going to prove the media with a man that they hate? The only reason I think it is possible he didn't was because I put it this way. If he did something wrong, do you know how bad it had to be for Biden not to release it? That means that they did something worse. Think about it. Now, we know the Clintons were their fair-haired couple. Obama wouldn't even, he put his support behind Hillary, not Joe. The Hillarys were gods. The Hillary and Bills were gods in that party. So, yeah, they play better than the Republicans do. They're better at it. They're excellent at elections. Oh, no, he's probably dead. I would think he's dead. But there's so much that went on with that. And you know what? They'll give you for the safety of the nation. They could always say that. They could always say, for national security, we can't release this stuff. What are you going to do? I think they're all guilty. My personal opinion, I'm not going to say underage girls, but then again, if a girl is 15 and looks 21, you're not going to ask for her ID. I think a lot of things went on there that are terrible, but there's just, how do you prove it? Believe it would be terrible. And if that's the case, these people belong to be in jail forever. But how do you differentiate what is real and what's not? That's the problem. That's the problem. Donald Trump is a braggart. He's a terrible narcissist. Bill Clinton's the one with the picture with the dress on who got a BJ in the White House with a kid 22 years old. My money's on Bill. Not necessarily underage, though. But what happens if these guys thought they were of age? What happens if Epstein says, oh, yeah, they're 18 when they're 15? These guys are going to take for granted that Epstein has legal girls there. It's terrible. I agree, Rock. He does. He does. He has the power, but so do the Dems. Look at the lawyer that died under the Hillary watch. He committed suicide with a gun to the back of his head. They do what they want. I swear to you, I believe this is WWE, a lot of it. I'm sure a lot of them hate each other. But I think it's theater. When I saw Obama joking around at that funeral with Donald Trump, remember in the second row, they showed pictures. They're joking around, talking to each other. and Harris walks right through the first row, and Obama doesn't even say hello to her. When all he does is talk about Hillary for years, and he said a couple of weeks ago, I like Bill. Donald Trump said that. I like Bill. What does Bill think of Hillary if he allows Donald to go after her like that? Well, that's what I hear, Mike. I don't know. I don't know. I just think that it's going to be interesting, and the only reason that hasn't been released is because now they have to. They tried for a very long time not to. But you probably have names on there. I mean, Supreme Court justices, every actor in Hollywood, pretty much. Women with women. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but maybe something you don't want out there for whatever reason, if you're in the public eye, right? Yeah, I've heard that story. I heard that. I don't know Obama, if that's true with Obama. I don't know. I've also heard the story, the guy from France. They can't find a birth certificate. That I tend to agree with. I think that is more WWE. That marriage is more WWE than anything. And yeah, that was a marriage out of convenience. He was president, she stood behind him, and she wanted to be the first woman president. She certainly was intelligent enough. And she'd be more of a centrist. If it was between her and Harris, I'd vote her 8 days a week. I don't think Hillary's as radical. But the world has changed. Did you see AOC? Now, I didn't watch it, to be honest with you, but I heard she made a fool of herself. Now, then again, she's not supposed to know about that stuff, really. Right? She's not running for president. 3 years, you could brush up on a lot of foreign affairs and things. She just says stuff like a new-aged girl. Right? Like a Valley girl. Remember the Valley girls in the 80s? She's like a Valley girl. She wants to be the Kim Kardashian of politics. She has a Twitter account, X, whatever they call it. Yeah, the guy in France, they swear he was a woman. Yes, Mike, I agree with you. I think the problem is we'll end up going to war because there's probably enough from other countries on there that if we expose it, it's not going to be good. And for the threat of national security, they probably said we can't. And the interesting thing is you never heard about this when Joe Biden was in office. How come no one ever screamed about the Epstein files? No one ever screamed about release them. As soon as Trump got in office, release them, release them, release them. No one gave a shit about them for 4 years. They cared about what you're going to call Mr. Potato Head and if little kids can get sex changes. That's what they cared about. It's sad. That would never win. They both would take each other down. First of all, look, blondes make jokes about AOC now. I just think it's terrible. Look what we have here. I don't know if she's a mental case. No, I think she's a 30-something-year-old socialist. And anyone who wants to argue about not learning it in school, well, at 12 years of age, you're not playing wiffle ball saying, I can't believe what Donald Trump said yesterday on the State of the Union. What do you do from 12 years of age to 22 that shapes your life other than your parents School. You're learning it somewhere. So obviously, you're learning radical behavior in school. And teenagers, it's really in vogue to think your parents are wrong about everything. So your parents are automatically wrong. So can you imagine a teacher or a professor saying, "Oh, your parents have been wrong for years"? Yeah, 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 yeah. They want to hear that. It's why psychiatry does so well in America. If they go into 30 sessions in psychiatry, you believe your parents are to blame for everything. Every problem you ever had, it was your parents' fault. So you keep on going to hear it once a week. Well, I think they all are harbingers of something, Mitch. It's rough. And you know what? We learn to deal with it. Look, it's what we have. Remember the Gotti movie? It's the boss we got. Whether you like him or not, Donald Trump's the president. I don't get why people are so against him securing the nation. I don't get that. I can understand it's very hard looking in the street how it goes off. It's not a pretty sight. But my answer to that is, where was ICE Trump's first term? If Joe Biden doesn't let in 12 million people, there's no ICE today down the street. So when does he take some of the responsibility? They'll never blame it on him. I've never once heard anyone say, you know something, as bad as Donald Trump is, the Biden administration takes a little bit of a hit here. Never. And that's the problem. And that's why Donald Trump purposely tries to get under everybody's skin and says things to annoy everybody, because he's sick of it. He's sick of being attacked. You know what? We always heard, like, what are you, a politician? Like, being a politician was like being a used car salesman. No one liked the used car salesman until you were looking for a used car. Then they were all great. No one likes an attorney until you need one. Then my guy's the best. Government is corrupt. Where have we all been? We know that. The difference is now we see it. You know, we always heard the stories. Now we read about them on social media. Yeah, Mitch, I understand that. I understand. It's tough out there. And we just have to hope that New York can survive this and the country can survive it. You know, you can't even think what's going to be in the next 3 years or 3 years from now, because you can't even imagine what's going to happen tomorrow. Try guessing the headlines for tomorrow. You can't. Well, no one was afraid of us. You do have to have a little fear. I know it's not the right way to go, but you have to have a little fear. With fear comes respect. Unfortunately, you don't want to be respected that way, but this is the government. That's the way it runs. Yeah, Mike. Why doesn't anybody mention that? That's the question I ask people. Where was ICE the first term? How come? Why do you think there was no ICE the first term Trump was in? He didn't need it. Look, there has to be. He goes over the top with certain things. There has to be a happy medium, and you know what? He feels he has the press against him. Every late night talk show host, all of Hollywood's against him, and he feels persecuted. He's a narcissist and he's paranoid. But just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that they're not talking about you. And they've talked about him plenty. So we'll see what happens. More importantly, let's see what happens with the snowstorm. I'm guessing 9 inches between Sunday and Monday. I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe. I might see you during the weekend. I may not. But if I don't, watch the music shorts. I've been getting pretty good feedback from that, and I really do appreciate you supporting me. I truly do. Have a wonderful, wonderful night, and I will talk to you hopefully during the weekend.